Assalamu alaikum. I greet my beloved brothers and sisters with the greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. I was asked to do JUMAH today because Brother Imam Farkan is not feeling well. Alhamdulillah. May Allah grant him a speedy recovery to return to us again to continue doing JUMAH and other services that he performs. Today, I would like to speak on a couple of things. Actually, one thing, but I don't intend to be long. I want to first speak about something on prayer, and then on Adam, because prayer, the things we do in prayer, some of the positions, and one in particular that most people like to do is the prostration. And I was thinking about prostration and what it means and how it affects us. And when we took our oath that we were going to obey Allah and follow His commands and His direction, instructions, I thought about our prayer and how the movements we go through it. And I was reading on Iblis and how Iblis refused to follow Allah's instructions, and said that he would come from man, from his front, from his back, his left, his right, and what that meant. And prostration, we're saying we submit. So we put our foreheads to the ground. We submit to the creator of this earth that we live on, and that we grow and educate ourselves. And I thought about what Imam Farkan said last week about Idris. And I had read something that Idris, many years, I think a couple of years ago, I had read something about Idris as being, meaning one who was educated, who was more involved in education and learning about different things. And Imam Farkan actually confirmed it last week, when he spoke about some of the prophets. Well, that's who Adam becomes. He's like Idris, because all the things that we have around us is to teach us, and we're to learn from these things. So when we say that we make prostration, it means that we're bowing to Allah's will and we want to follow what His will is. So we have to say, what is Allah's will when we make our prostration? And I look at the Muslim community and I say, yeah, there are many communities here in the city of Trenton. And I'm just speaking about Trenton in general, because this is where I'm at, this is where I work, where I come visit and pray. And I said, there are many things that go on here, but we're not involved in those things. We come here for salat, and then we leave, okay? So when we do that, are we really following Allah's will and making our prostrations? Are we seeking to learn and better our community, our environment, to make it better, to make it wholesome? And I was reading something about Imam, listening to Imam lectures this morning, one of his lectures, and he asked, what is human excellence? Human excellence is when we get involved, and a community doesn't grow until the people in that community participates and makes that community grow. And when you look at Trenton and around Trenton, we have all these Muslims here, masjids, centers, some masjids have learning centers, and are we exercising the teachings of Islam by not getting involved in activities in the community, in the board meetings that go on in the city that affect the growth of this community? Not only just the Muslim community, the community in general. We have a lot of vacant stores, a lot of vacant businesses, but how many qualify themselves to start a business and make the community prosper and grow? That's part of your prostration, learning and developing yourself, become more qualified to do these things in the city, to get on boards, to get on committees, to become part of the community so that we become recognized as an entity in this city. How many Muslims are invited to events in the community, to represent the Islamic community here? Just think about it. Ask yourself this question, because many of us aren't on any committees in the city. I know that our sister president here is part of the NAACP, and I see her, I got an email from her recently inviting the community to go out and support her at an event that she's attending. And I think she's getting an award for it. And I think it's at the, I can't think of the name of it, but the poster should be out there in the front. But if we don't support the people that we say are our leaders in the community, how can we go down and make prostration and don't support it? I'm asking you these questions because these are things we need to think about. Every time we make prostration and ask Allah for forgiveness, but we also ask Allah for knowledge, increasing our knowledge, increasing our understanding of the religion. And if we make prostration, then are we really understanding what our prostration is for? And then when you say in, I think it's in the 15th, I think 15th chapter, in between the 34th, see what is it, 34th and I think the 40th or 41st verse, where Allah granted Iblis respite. And he says that he will come from you, from in front of you, from behind you, from your right and from your left. And if we don't look at these things and say, okay, how's he coming to us from these ways? It's not somebody coming in front of you like he's standing in front of you now. He's somebody coming from your future. So what is your future going to be if you don't participate in what goes on in the community to help build and strengthen your community? He says he'll come from the behind you. That's your history. What's behind you is what you leave, your legacy that you leave behind you. Your legacy is also your culture. If we don't build a culture of Islam in the community that we're in, Iblis comes in and takes over that culture and takes over your mindset. If he comes from your right, he comes from your unconscious or your conscious, okay? He comes from your conscious things that you see before you that you don't realize Satan is looking at these things and say, oh, you know what? He's looking at his phone. Let me make this attractive to him. Let me make it appealing to him so that all he does, all he knows is his telephone and how he can communicate through his phone. If you look to his left, it's your unconscious. What is your unconscious? Those things that happen that affect you whether you realize it or not. The advertisement on TV, the newspapers, the things you hear on the radio, what you watch on television. This is your unconscious affecting you. I need an Apple phone. Apple is so cool. It has all these features. But Samsung, Android, Windows, they have the same features. But yet we got to have an iPhone. It's the most popular thing out there. That's your unconscious telling you, get this iPhone. You understand? But yet, when you make prostration, you ask Allah for the guidance, for insight, to look at these things and help you to understand them. Idris is knowledge. Study knowledge. Study how it applies or how it can apply in your life. How can you look at these things? How do these affect you? There's a book I bought at a book fair. And I saw the cover, and I said I had to get this book. Now, the name of this book, actually, it was a textbook. It said, it was a book on consumer behavior. Consumer behavior. Now, just the title of that book, it was a textbook. You know, a research textbook. It's a big book, a big thick book, a heavy book. Consumer behavior. When I seen it, I said, So this is how Iblis is coming at us. He looks at what you like, the colors, the sound, okay, even the rhythm of something. Your rhythm, you have a rhythm too. And what is your rhythm? Your rhythm is what attracts you to something, whether it's a musical instrument, whether it's a physical object, it's what attracts you. You have a rhythm to be attracted to different things. So they study these behaviors. It's become a science to them, okay? It's become a science to the scientists, or those who want to control the mindset of people. I don't have the name of the book with me, but I'll get it for you, inshallah. Maybe I'll give it to Imam Farkan next week, inshallah, if he's better. And I'll get you the name of that book so you can check it out. And it shows you how the scientists of this world have learned to study the human intellect, to find out those things that are more appealing, that attract you. They use words, they change words. You know, in Arabic we say kab, heart. And here, in America, in English, they say breast, or that which is in the breast, or they call it, the physical name for it, they say heart. But there are other names for the heart too as well. And they find out what you are attracted to, what pulls you. Because you know the heart pulls. It pulls and it pushes. See? So if something is pulling you is what inclines your heart to move towards that particular thing. And it flows. It pumps the blood, the life through you. The blood flows through your blood, through your heart, through the veins, because of the heart pumping. It pumps it in, and then it pushes it out. And that's how life is for us. What attracts us, it pulls us, and then it pulls it into us, and then it takes it out to our families, to our friends, to our community, and all these things. So you see how physiology also plays a role in what affects our life. our environment. So when we make if we don't make prostration as a group, we tend to find it more easy to be susceptible to those things that are pulling us towards the wrong thing instead of towards Allah. When you do salat in the masjid as a community, then you're showing people that, hey, the Muslims are establishing themselves. They make their prayers here at the masjid, and they also do them at home. And that's what your sunnahs are for, basically. To do your sunnahs at home. To say that, yes, okay, subconsciously, I'm at my house and not in the masjid, but my house becomes my masjid. And I make my sunnahs at home. And I make my fard here at the masjid. So what does that mean? That means that we have to take responsibility of having the masjid open and making our salat, our fajr salat, if we can make it here. And we do our sunnahs at home, if we can do it. Sometimes you're here, or out in the community where you can't do your sunnahs there, so you should come to the masjid. The masjid should be open. Everybody who is authority in the masjid should have a key. And there should be a time established for us to make our prostrations here at the masjid. And in so doing, then we get to talk to each other, we get to know each other, we get to understand, and maybe even have some entertainment. Maybe you might like a movie, and don't think we can't go to movies, okay? Don't think we can't dance. Muslims can dance. There's nothing to say that Muslims can't dance, but we don't do provocative stuff. I remember when I first came down here, I was invited to an oldies party, oldies dance. And they were having it at a synagogue, I think it was Bellevue Avenue. So I don't dance. But I said, let me go find out. So this what happens, I went back home, and Allah's always merciful. When you seek information, He always tends to show it to you. And I had a book called Messenger of Allah. Messenger of Allah. And in it, I was almost finished reading it, but I had a couple of pages, maybe about 21 pages to read. And soon to open the book, there was an article, a passage in there, and it talked about people partying. And the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had his partners with us, his companions, and they were on a march. And they came on this mountain, and they were looking down on a valley hill. They were looking down on the people in the valley, and they were Muslims, but their culture allowed them to have this party, and they were dancing and playing music and whatnot. So I'm reading this, I'm saying, wait a minute, they just asked me to a dance. I said, but Muslims don't dance. But when I read this article, here was Rasulullah observing these people and their culture. So one of the companions said, oh Allah, oh Messenger of Allah, shall I go down and stop them? Allahu Akbar. Allah Messenger said, no. He said, wait a minute, hold on. So he observed them, and he said, let's go. Now, I'm just going to paraphrase a little bit, let's go. You know how we say, let's get out of here. Well, he said, let's go. And I said, well, if he allowing them to do these things, why? And I start questioning myself. Why? Why do we put these restrictions on ourselves that we can't do certain things? And the companion asked him, well, why'd you let them go? And Rasulullah said, that's their culture. That's their culture, to have this event. And I said, interesting. So it's not that they were doing anything vulgar or anything. It was just part of their culture that they would celebrate for a particular event. Now, it reminds me of something that I think was in the Bible. When God told Jews, He gave them certain things that they could eat. And they said, we can't have these things, just these things. And they said they wanted more. So Allah granted them more, but that was because they put a burden on their own selves. He offered them the manna and the quail, but they wanted the onions, the garlic, and every other thing they could get. So He said, okay, well, you're going to take that. I'll offer you one thing, and you want something else, what I offered you. Now, Allah did the same thing for us. He told us we can have the quail and the manna. The quail is substance, okay? The quail is a bird that flies, okay? And it goes above the material things. And what was that representing? Spiritual knowledge. The bread is the staff of life, they call it. So bread is the material world that you get, the material thing that you get out of the physical earth. That means you have to be educated to get those things. The Jews are educated. They're the most educated people other than sometimes maybe the Muslims, you know, when it comes to religion, because they study their religion and they make the best of it. But they just don't teach it to everybody else. You see, we got it and we try to present it to everyone that will accept it. Allahu Akbar. You got to excuse my knees, they're kind of old. If I told you how old they were, you probably wouldn't believe me. So part of the second part of the khutbah is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And before I get into it, we're going to be a short khutbah today. I want to read the announcements real quick. Concert tickets for December 14th are available. See Sister Johnette. Tickets are TLC are responsible for 25 tickets to date. For 25 tickets to date, we've only sold 11 tickets. Inshallah, the tickets are $20, and if we can afford it, or try to at least pay on some tickets by the 14th, which is next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. Try to support this effort. This is not by Muslims, but it's an event that Muslims can attend. Membership for TLC is open November 16th through December 21st. Applications for current and new members, applications are due by December 21st, which is week after next. And elections, annual meetings for TLC members will be held on Saturday, December 29th at 10 a.m. sharp. Elections will take place on this day. So anyone has any nominees, I guess you can see Sister Janet or the secretary at the window. Lunches, check with Sister in the lobby, Sister Vera or Sister Vera at the lunch, or Sister Salima. They're usually selling the foods out there in the lobby. And that's the lunches are to help maintain upkeep of the building. Please continue to pray for our sick. Has anybody heard from Brother Dawood Musa? I tried calling him, but his phone didn't work, so maybe somebody we can go by and try to see him. For the sick and shut-in brothers and sisters and those who are taking care of them. The board members thanks you for your contribution, for your continued support. See our bulletin board for additional announcements. Arrangements are being made to have the first Lady Tammy Murphy visit. Have First Lady Tammy Murphy visit TLC very soon. A time to be grateful. The Inheritors Embracing Our Future. This is a conference highlights. Award ceremony, single social, Black Muslim Singles Society, Marriage Social, presented by Miriam, which is an acronym for, this is by Imam Fahim Shuaib. Workshops, Culture Night, which is featuring Preacher Moss, who's a comedian, I believe. City Tour, Master Warisdeen Muhammad, and African American Historic Sites. And this is this is going to be out of town. Actually, it's in Houston, Texas. You can find out at Master Warisdeen Muhammad in Houston, P.O. Box 14819. And this is a application form which is out back, which should be out front there. Anybody wishing to attend should fill out that form and either fax it, email it, or just go make your reservations and go. This one is at Masjid Allah in Philadelphia, 3401 Limekiln Pike, Muslim American Logic Institute, Mali. 11th annual Quranic Conference, the Quranic Critical Thinking and Universal Reality. This is June 28th through the 30th at 2019. Okay, the conference information can contact M. Khalil Ghani, Salim Abdul Youssef, and the information, phone numbers are on this flyer. And then we have the last one, it's a study group, Islamic study group, and this one I host. It's we were having it on Wednesdays, but I spoke with Sister Johnette, and I said I was going to change this to Saturdays, starting at about 12 o'clock. That way, if people come to the masjid would be open, and we try to go from 12 maybe to Asr, seeing Asr comes in early, and the subject matter could be about anything. You know, I wanted to change up the subjects because there was only 4 of us, sometimes 5 people that would show up for this one. And the sister wanted to come, but it was late. It would get dark early, so I decided I'd change it, make it earlier, and make it on Saturday where more people can come. And some of the topics I wanted to do were from the Bible and from the Quran, and the relationship between the two, and how to read scriptures. So, inshallah, we may have guest speakers. If I can get something to come out this time, and we'll be able to record it, inshallah, and then everybody can get a copy of the CD. And times will be coincide with Dhuhr and Asr. So with that, we end the announcements. And Bismillah, I want to conclude this real quick. It was something I had read recently. It was talking about human excellence. I wish I could remember where I read it. But the reason why I said the human excellence, because we don't attain human excellence until we begin to accept our religion and try to live it to the best of our ability. And by doing that, we begin to talk it, live it, and practice it. And the way you practice it is first come together as a community. Not as an individual. We become successful, we can become successful as an individual, but we accomplish more as a community. You see it, if you look at the things in nature, you look at the apple. The apple by itself is just an apple. But when you put apples together, more than one apple, you make apple pie, apple cobbler, apple bread. There's a lot more things, apple cake. You can do more things with multiple things than you can with a single thing. And when that seed apple drops from the ground and begins to rot, the seeds that were in there will go into the ground. And what comes up from the ground? Another apple tree. So it takes a community of people, you know, to make this community that we're in successful and more vibrant. You know, we look around, we see all these buildings here. And sometimes I take my camera and I want to go out and take pictures. But when I look at the scenery, it's gray, it's dark, it's dismal, excuse my expression, but that's Trenton. Why? Because people don't see life in the city. They see dismal, and I look at this and I say, wow, you know, I'm looking at it from a color perspective. You know, when you take pictures, nowadays everything's in color. But when you convert that color to black and white, you see a different image. And that's how we have to see things now. Don't just look at things as being dismal in front of us. See the color in it. What's the color in the city? The people. The people are the color in the city. They give it life, they give it vitality, they give it a new look. And if we don't give this city a new look, then we fail as a Muslim community. As a Muslim community. Some of us here have PhDs, bachelor degrees, associate's degrees, master degrees, high school education, street smarts. Why can't we develop this? Why can't we develop this city? We can get grants. There was, this morning, the sister sent me a text with a phone number for Blog Talk Radio. And the thing that I listened to the brother when he said that there are many opportunities for us, for people, for anybody, really, white, black, purple, pink, or green, to get grants to do things. But how many of us have the qualifications to write that grant or to write for a grant to get something? Now, if we pool our resources together, I'm sure we put all these minds together, we can get grants for what we want to do here. Whether we want to build this masjid, a center above here, or expand it, or to do programs and get paid for it, it's up to us as a Muslim community, all of us. You know, before we got Islam, where were we at? I know African Americans, we were persecuted, we were enslaved, we were discriminated against, we were hated, despised by the world because we had a dark skin, dark complexion. And it's not just us African Americans here, in Africa, in India, in Pakistan, in Arabia, and all over the world. If you were dark skinned, you were hated. They may not said it, but they acted out in their actions and deeds. So we're better than that. Allah tells us in the Quran, He created our colors for what? That we can get to know each other. Get to know each other. How can you know all of us, or any of us, if we don't sit down and talk and work together? This is a masjid. This is a community. And I can't help but, it's always been my desire that we come together as people. When I came in this religion, I was so happy. I had a smile here to here. Because in Christianity, I got kicked out of the church because I asked a question. How can Jesus not have a father? They kicked me out of the church, called me Shaitan, the devil, you know. But that didn't stop me from learning about religion. I started seeking and asking God for guidance, that I want to know what the religion was about. This is Christianity. But I changed. Allahu Akbar. Allah got me to Islam. And from there, my brother told me, my coworker, he said he thought I had a Harvard degree. Because I was telling him about Islam and explaining things in the Bible to him that I learned through Islam that most preachers don't even teach people. He thought I had a Harvard degree. No, brother. I dropped out of school in 7th grade. But fortunately, went back to school, okay, got some college education, but I dropped out of college because I was learning more from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad than I was in school. But I wish I had stayed back, but you know, who knows, I may go back. But Allahu Akbar. So I don't want to burden you with my troubles, but I just want to show you how Islam has changed us. It made us a different people, a people that glow. I say we glow. You know, I look at y'all smiling faces. You know, when I come here, it makes me smile because I'm giving you something for what I understand of this book, okay, and hope that what I give you will help you become a better person. So with that, I greet you, and any mistakes I made are mine, and may Allah forgive us and grant us paradise. Assalamu alaikum, and salat.